After a quick survey among our audience here in Leuven, we will be back with round 3 of the Blitz event. Which game shall we focus on, Jan?
I believe we gotta go with Magnus Carlsen versus Vishy Anand. Vishy Anand has had a very good rapid outing, and it might have reminded a few people that he used to totally dominate rapid and blitz chess in the late 90s, early 2000s. There we see him facing his, I don't know if his nemesis, but the man who took his world champion title from him, Magnus Carlsen, with the white pieces. And yesterday in their rapid matchup, Magnus won a fantastic game between those two. Vishy is very concentrated. Brought in another colorful shirt, still not the one I've been wanting him to wear.
You're still waiting for the blue one, the blue checkered shirt he has.
Yeah. Magnus Carlsen actually keeps wearing his jacket. Has he been doing that throughout? I expect him to take it off sooner or later.
In Paris, I believe he at some point stopped wearing the shirt with his sponsor's name on it, and he was just in a comfortable t-shirt, but seems like for the event here in Belgium, he decided that he should go all in with his most elegant look.
Vishy is listening, probably. Tournament director Malcolm Payne is giving some instructions like, don't kick your opponent, use one hand to press the clock, that kind of stuff. But Vishy Anand has been around. He grew up in the streets of Madras playing Blitz. The winner stays, probably not in the streets, but in the chess club. So he's very, very used to long Blitz sessions.
You see that the audience and the players were also laughing, so there must have been some really good jokes cracked in the playing hall, and the games begin. We will wait for Magnus Carlsen and Vishy Anand to start their game and focus on this game until something extraordinary happens on the other boards.
Come on, guys, shake hands.
They did not. They must
handshake.
have.
Maybe they should before. And they arrived at the board. Magnus goes with d4, c4 this time around. Doesn't repeat the Italian which he played last game, knight of 3, and Vishy transposes to the so-called Ragozin with d5. We've seen b6, queen c2 yesterday in Magnus's game against Topalov, where Magnus managed to get a bit of an advantage. This time around, Vishy is in for a heavy theoretical debate. Bishop g5, knight bd7 or h6 are the main moves here. Very curious what Vishy has up his sleeve. He's experimented with rare moves like bishop to f5 in this position, but I doubt he's gonna use that against Magnus. He's played h6, bishop h4. And here, g5 is one line, knight bd7, when after e3 you go g5, bishop g3, knight e4 is the other. Carlsen going into his memory bank. How can I surprise Vishy, who's famous for knowing everything about everything? Very hard to catch him in the opening. There he goes, g5, knight e4. This is a line that Levon Aronian specializes in, can lead to extremely sharp play. And I'm not sure if Magnus is ready for it. He is thinking. He does employ this line with black himself, and yeah, he is ready. He goes knight d2, pawn sacrifice. When Anand takes and goes c6, does not want to take this hot pawn on c3, because white gets a lot of compensation. So now black gained the 2 bishops, but he had to weaken his structure on the king side in order to do so. And Vishy addresses that fact, brings his king around to g7 to cover the weak h6 pawn. He can't really castle, so he has to do it by hand.
This is a funny way of castling, bringing the king via f8 and g7, and then the rook can be activated.
Yeah, all of these things have been seen before. It's a battle between black's pair of bishops and his white's ambitions to use these weaknesses on the king side. It's not going to be easy to do. Knight f6, knight f3 on the board, transferring this knight to e5. Anand could stop that by going bishop g4, when I would guess. He goes knight g4. Another way to stop it, probably a better one. Because yeah, bishop g4 was temporary. The rook would go somewhere. Knight to g4, that's an annoying move. Fighting against knight e5. And also keeping an eye on f2. So all of a sudden you have to worry about bishop takes. My arrow work is not quite on point yet. But bishop takes c3, because he can't recapture with the queen. So knight f2. I believe Vishy is doing all right. Maybe knight f3, even though it looked tempting, was a bit of a rash decision, because his knight g4 does look very, very strong.
King b1, bishop takes, b takes on the board, and queen e7. I believe this is the actual position.
Yeah, Magnus Carlsen taking a time out here to adjust to the new landscape. His pawn structure has improved after b takes c3. but it's not the kind of position where you want your king on b1, because if this ever opens up, then the king on b1 will feel a bit alone. Rook he1, Magnus trying to open the center before bad things happen to his king. Vishy has to start worrying about e3 to e4. I would guess he ignores it and just goes bishop to e6, closing the e-file temporarily. Very, very sharp position here. I'm not sure if these guys have played that much blitz against each other. What has he done? Stop blocking the camera, Vishy.
Yeah, maybe if there's another
He's played
camera
f5.
that we could have a look at from the playing hall so that we see the board.
I like f5, I didn't see that. Really impeding e4, and after bishop takes f5, bishop takes f5, queen f5, he would just capture on f2, spoiling the white pawn structure, putting the knight on e4. It's a nice move by Anand there. Carlsen played more slowly, rook e2, rook
Queen
f8.
b1 and a5.
Yeah, Anand's doing fine here. Knight back to e1. Carlsen cannot tolerate this knight on g4 forever. Wants to prepare f3, maybe put his knight on c2 to help his queenside a little bit, and then go for f3, e4, f3, g4, opening the position. But it does feel like white is the side that has to be a little careful here.
I do prefer black here if I had to pick sides, but I'm afraid that Magnus Carlsen will manage to create some danger against black's king. I don't know how, but he will manage.
Yeah, he misses these defensive pawns. He has to use his pieces to stop black from breaking through with b4. But it's not an easy thing to do. Rook b8 or b4 immediately, even if you lose a pawn. Doesn't seem all that scary. He's bringing the bishop back to defense as well there with bishop c2, hoping that after b4 he can take ab and put a bishop on b3. But it still looks like, yeah, he is...
b4 about to open the b5. Anand is going for Magnus Carlsen's king.
Yeah, Magnus forced to defend here. I'm not sure what Vishy is thinking about. Maybe queen takes b4, but that looks strange because the white king is weaker, so you want to go ab. That's what he does. And Magnus has to be very, very cautious here. Bishop b3, bishop e6. Question is how you can increase the pressure on the queen side if you're Vishy. But structurally, he's solved all his problems and now has the time to regroup his pieces. He goes knight to f6.
But I don't like that this white knight might appear too on squares like c5 and e5, so pushing those pawns also weaken black's camp.
In f6, knight e4 is a big threat, so I would expect Magnus to play
f3 should
f3.
be played in order to avoid it, and then knight d3 could come. No, he
doesn't go
doesn't
f3.
prevent it. Rook c2.
That is a surprise.
What is his trick?
I don't think there's a particular trick. After knight e4, he wants to give the exchange on c3 whenever this knight
Magnus
shows up
Carlsen
there.
sacrificing an exchange. It's a piece and a pawn for the rook.
I like what he's done. Now that this knight has disappeared, his knight is free to jump. It's kind of hard for black to create an initiative on the queen side. But Vishy's trying. He goes bishop to a6. I would expect this knight to jump to e5. It's not doing all that much on c5. Oh no, queen c5. Interesting choice. Offering an endgame after bishop d3 followed by queen takes c5. What is he doing? I don't get that.
I understand it.
Magnus
Bishop
shaking
takes,
his head.
he has missed.
Yeah,
bishop
he missed that
takes.
bishop d3 was check. Yeah, this was just a blunder.
I think he even laughed a bit at himself.
Yeah, he's clearly frustrated, banging out his moves, and now it should be a technically winning position for Vishy Anand. The rooks are too strong here.
This is very bad news for Magnus Carlsen. He is in a lost position with an exchange down and very active rooks for black, so there's not much hope that he can hold this position.
No, this is more or less game over. He's going to make a couple moves, but there is absolutely no defense. And yeah, it's a rare blackout for the world champion that after...
Yeah, he played queen c5, missing that bishop takes d3 was a check. That's basically what he didn't see. He wanted to capture on c5 with the knight.
Yeah, that is odd. Doesn't happen to him every day. But it did happen. He is human, and it's going to cost him a full point against Vishy, who keeps going strong in this tournament. Magnus still fighting, trying to use his pieces the best he can. But it's just... Rooks are too strong when they have open files and targets here. Vishy's bringing the other rook around. Still a bit of a conversion task ahead. But also, if we look at the clock, it looks like Anand has barely spent any time. He still has 3 minutes, so should be quite comfortable, even though he still has to finish the job.
Technical difficulties. H4 is on the board and he exchanges a rook to capture the pawn on c5.
Still winning, rook c4, but you have to keep an eye on the a4 pawn, which will start running instantly. Has Vishy calculated everything? a5, rook takes f4, a6, rook takes h4, a7, rook h8, and it looks like he's just in time.
Yeah, judging from his gestures, he must have missed something or be a bit confused because he doesn't seem to be that confident. It should be winning, but still he has to calculate there are 2 white passed pawns running as well.
Yeah, but it's reasonably straightforward. The king takes care of the h-pawn, the rook takes care of the a-pawn.
This was
and
a very
then the
nice
2
maneuver,
passed pawns will decide the issue.
King stops the h-pawn now. There's only the a-pawn. It could be dangerous, but he's pushing his connected passed pawns, the c and d passed pawn. What's the point?
Fighting, but there is time to
check, and then king b3, and he wants to capture the c pawn.
It's unfortunate for Vishy had to do that, though. Maybe he rushed a little with c3, because now the conversion is no longer so easy, and he offers a draw. He understands he's messed up.
Yeah. Vishy, Anand spoiled a winning position, but this is Blitz. Of course, they make mistakes.
Yeah, he's gonna be upset though, because this was a completely winning position, and kudos to the world champion for hanging in there, saving that position against Vishy. Anand, I had written it off as game over. Is not an easy task.
Incredible draw. I think we should have a look at Kramnik-Aronian, where Kramnik seems to be winning. Yeah, this
What's going on here?
Looks like very weird. The black king on f8 with this pawn on f7.
I don't have a clue what's happening. I guess you take here.
Queen takes c5 check, king f7, queen takes e. Well, c7 first, you are right, and then both the rook and the knight are hanging.
Looks grim for Levon Aronian.
Seems to be losing for Levon Aronian.
In other news, the game between Caruana and Nakamura is still in full effect. Can't even decide who's better. Probably white is a little better because of the weakness of the d5 pawn. But the black pieces are very active, and Hikaru Nakamura with active pieces is always a force to be reckoned with. Anish Giri against Wesley So is another... I don't know, I'm too slow to evaluate all these positions on the fly, so let's focus on one. Let's stick with Kramnik-Aronian and see how that concludes.
Yeah, Kramnik-Aronian seems to be the most exciting. Will there be mate, or simply white will just capture everything he can? Rook d6 was played and queen takes e5, rook d1 check. After king g2, bishop f1. Okay, we cannot capture, or can we? Because I was afraid of rook b8 and that I'm getting mated, but the e8 square is guarded. That can be, which one? Queen, which one is the best check here? Queen f4, queen h5?
Oh no, I didn't see a mate. Kramnik went with bishop f1 instead of king g2.
So if rook takes f1, check. Oh, he captured with the bishop. Bishop takes f1.
Rook f1,
so
king g2.
This is a piece down for Vladimir Kramnik, but he seems to be mating. Is there a mate?
I don't see a mate.
Maybe black will have to give up his queen.
Queen is good enough though.
Oh, he blundered his queen on a4. Queen e8 check, winning the queen.
Yeah, Levon Aronian obviously frustrated. He just missed the toughest moves to spot and check. A queen in chess, a queen retreat, queen takes a4. Or maybe he thought this was impossible because he would move his own bishop and give mate. But the queen is also in time for another timely retreat, picking up the rook.
Yeah,
therefore, Aronian very unhappy with himself.
I think Nakamura is still going on and is a very interesting position too. It seems that Carlsen is giving mate 2, or at least trying.
Won't be easy though.
Yeah, this one is a lot less easy as Vladimir Kramnik's position was. The black king is exposed, but the black queen and rook are trying to keep everything protected. They are repeating moves. What happened there? I feel like we are somewhat behind.
Yeah, we'll get there. They have now reached the rook endgame, where Carlsen has a passed e-pawn, but Hikaru's managed to pick up a couple pawns. And he's trying to go for cheap post king e5. I missed that one. Very nice move, because you can't take, because after king f6 you're getting mated, and Hikaru's shaking his head. He's missed that move as well, and all of a sudden he's forced to create luft for his king and give up a pawn. So Fabiano turned the tables with that little king e5 trick. Very nicely done by Fabiano Caruana. Might still be a draw, but all of a sudden Hikaru has to fight for it, and he might not be able to do it.
King f5, rook takes e4, and now we have a guest, ladies and gentlemen, Vladimir Kramnik.
Vladimir Kramnik is joining
who
us.
has just won a very nice game against Levon Aronian, so we will go and see what happened in that game. Congratulations, Vladimir.
Thank you.
Shall we
But
bring...
I doubt it was a very nice game. I mean, I was totally winning, and then I messed it up, and then I don't know, maybe it was a draw already at the end. But he missed that after queen a4, the rook is hanging.
That's what I thought, yeah.
It's Blitz, so it's impossible to play perfect, but we thought that you were just fighting very well. Shall we have a look at the game quickly?
Yeah, I believe in the final stage, I haven't checked, but he can go king e6 instead of king c6, and I didn't see
queen
a mate.
f7 check. I was not sure if I'm mating, but it's not so. I mean, we just had seconds both.
Yeah,
so
of course.
I mean, king d6, e5 check. Maybe I'm still winning.
Yeah,
That's
e5.
what I thought. e5 check, and then c7 is falling. But okay, we had just few seconds left each, and it was difficult to calculate. But of course, I should have won much easier before. No doubt.
So Vladimir, how's your tournament going? It looked like you were playing excellent chess, but you kept hanging pieces in the rapids. Like, what's going
in
on?
Blitz as well. I mean, it's all the same story. I'm afraid it's going to be today the same. I mean, first few games I'm playing well in Blitz, so first two rapid games usually I show high level, and then I just start to collapse. I mean, unfortunately, my energetical level is not up to the task here. I mean, it's a pity because, okay, the way I play first 2-3 hours, usually it's a really good chess, and then it's not chess anymore. Yeah, that's unfortunately every day like this, and I'm afraid we are going to see the same today. I mean, don't have too many illusions.
How can we fix it? Should the schedule be faster, that the games are played one after another?
Yeah, I think
or
the
what do you
schedule
suggest?
is too tough anyway. Maybe we should have played 15 plus 10, I mean 5 games or less than 5 games. But in any case, okay, and of course for all the players it's a bit difficult, and in any case I should improve my physical shape. I mean, because chess-wise I think everything is fine, but physically, yeah, I just run totally out of energy and then start to make blunders. And of course, in classical chess, you have a lot of time, so you have full control on the game. So even if you're lacking energy, you don't blunder so badly. But faster is time control, more you start to blunder, and this is a problem. Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a pity to spoil basically a tournament where I could have done well. But okay, what to do? Yeah, I just have to fix all my health issues and to get more energy and to come back.
But chess-wise, I've noticed you've been queening all your past pawns. All these rook endings and extra pawn, you always queen. Do you have any advice what the secret is?
Well, the secret is basically that I become much stronger once there are very few pieces left on the board, because it's difficult to blunder them, you know. In rook endgames it's difficult. Okay, you can still blunder a rook, but it's much more difficult. So then once we have just few pieces left, I start to feel much more confident. You know?
We do feel like your technique is the best among the players, so we are very impressed by your endgames. We feel that this is the most instructive play that you showed in many games, the endgames that Jan mentioned. If it's a pass pawn for Vladimir, we say that you are winning.
No, not necessarily, but in general, yeah, I never really had any problem with technique. I won quite many nice endgames, but also, I mean, Magnus is at least not worse, maybe even slightly better than me in technical part. He's also very strong, but true, yes, once it gets to better endgame, yeah, or slightly even better, I start to play well normally. But the problem that chess is not only about endgames.
All right, Vladimir. Then exchange of all the pieces in your remaining games. We won't
I will
waste
try
any more
my
energy.
best. I'll try to catch, you know, like Boris Gelfand says when he's exchanging a piece in analysis, he's always saying, more you change, less you give for free. So this is my logo now.
Best of luck for the remaining game. Thanks a
Good
lot,
luck,
Vladimir
Vladimir.
Kramnik.
We will go on a short break before round 4 begins of the Blitz here in Leuven. It will begin in 10 minutes, so we have a 10-minute break, and then we will be back with all the action here from the town hall of Leuven. See you guys in a minute.